Good evening, everybody. I'm delighted to be here for this gap of 3 years. Has it been that long? It's so nice for people to meet again in person. And shortly, we'll hear the words of Sheikh Shamsuddin Azimi. I hope very much that he remains, with God's help, in good health. Is he still in good health? I'm delighted to hear that, and I look forward to hearing his words of wisdom. Now, many of you will have met me before and heard me before, but for those who don't, I'm a local rabbi. I live in Woodford, and my congregation spreads around the Redbridge, Ilford area. I've been here for 35 years, raised a family here. And I'm British because I was born here. But my father wasn't British. My father was born in Germany. He escaped to England in September 1939. So my father was a refugee. His change of his homeland saved his life. And he arrived here with just his clothes and a suitcase. But within his brain was his education and so many memories that he carried with him in his head. When he came, he didn't speak a word of English. Now, my mother, bless her, she was born here. She grew up in absolute poverty in Whitechapel in London's East End. Although my mother was born here, my grandparents, they were not born in Britain. They were also refugees. They arrived here before the First World War. They arrived from a tiny little corner of the Russian Empire under the Tsar. And these grandparents of mine, they came to England to escape persecution and discrimination. They hoped for a better life. Like my father, they came with nothing. Like my father, they spoke not a word of English. So I'm both the child and the grandchild of Jewish refugees. Later this evening, I hope very much that my friend Joel Ilson will arrive. He's a violinist, and he's intending to play his violin for you. Well, I was talking to him about this. I said, why, Joel, do so many Jews like me and him, why do we play the violin? The answer, of course, is it's a very small, light, and it's a portable instrument. It's not like Noah's harp over there. Not Noah's Ark, Noah's harp. A violin was easy for the refugees to carry with them from their old home to their new home. It was a portable instrument. So being a refugee, or the child of a refugee, has been a Jewish experience back since Bible times. But as all of you know and understand, it's a universal human experience. It's the experience of all children of Adam and Eve. I'd like to read for you the beginning of a well-known psalm from the Hebrew Bible, Psalm 137. Thousands of Jews had been exiled from their homeland to Babylon towards the east. This happened in the 6th century before the Christian era. And in the Bible, Psalm 137 begins, Al Naharot Bavel, Sham Yashavnu, Sham Bachinu. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat. Yes, we wept as we remembered Zion. There in Babylon, our captors asked us to sing songs. Our tormentors asked us for music. Sing us one of those songs of Zion. But how could we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? 2,500 years later, they're still exiles, they're still refugees from all lands, from all cultures, and from all faiths. At the last Adam Day, we were speaking about the Rohingya refugees expelled from Burma. And this year, we're all conscious of Ukrainians fleeing their war-torn homeland. And finally, I must mention what I'm sure you all know, that 75 years ago, that was the anniversary of partition. Next week, on the 15th of August, 1947. Remembered, I'm sure, by many of your grandparents who may be still alive. There were terrible massacres. There were rapes. There was the appropriation of property, the loss of ancestral land and property. Nobody knows how many people lost their lives. Estimates vary from 500,000 up to 2 million people. But between 10 and 20 million people were displaced. They lost their homes and their homeland. So much hate between the children of Adam. Hate because of religious, cultural, ethnic differences. That did happen 75 years ago, and as we know, it is still happening, even to innocent children. I'm going to finish this evening by reading a modern poem written by a Somali boy aged only 14. He was exiled from Somalia to the USA. The poem is called "What Would You Do?" by Emital Mahmoud. What would you do if your town was bombed and everything near it was gone? What would you do if you were cold and alone, cast to the streets without a home? What would you do if someone killed your mum and dad and you had lost everything that you had? What would you do if you were shattered and broken because you have witnessed the unspoken? If you run, where would you go? And if you died, would anyone know? I myself would pray and hope for a better day. Salam, Om Shanti, Shalom. Peace to you all. Amen.